Congressman Marc Veasey, we're following the breaking news. A very defiant President Trump struggling to move forward as he's publicly blasted for his newest remarks about the violence in Charlottesville. Sources telling CNN the president is, quote, without regret. I want you to watch, Congressman, a little bit of this very disturbing video from the white supremacist rally as it began Friday night. Then we'll discuss. Watch this. Very alarming video. If you couldn't hear, they were saying, they will not replace us, they will not replace us, referring to African Americans. Jews will not replace us, Jews will not replace us. Then they uttered the words blood and soil. That's an old Nazi slogan that was used by the Nazis in the 30s to gain control of Germany. What's your reaction, Congressman, when you see and hear that kind of demonstration that occurred in Charlottesville, Virginia, Friday night?
Well, it makes me sick. And when you think about what we've achieved really since the Voting Rights Act, since the passage of the Civil Rights Act in the 1960s, we have integrated schools now. And to see that sort of scene in America, in Virginia, I think is sad. And to see their numbers growing, I think, is also very sad. But sadly, I think that you can attribute the rise in these hate groups to the campaign that Donald Trump ran in 2016 from the very beginning. I mean, his campaign questioned whether or not President Obama was born in this country. And one of his campaign slogans or Twitters used the Star of David. And I think it was some clip art that was actually taken from a white supremacist website. I mean, there are just so many other examples. And then the fact he pretended that he didn't know who David Duke was. And by doing that, you give aid and comfort to these groups and you help increase their numbers. And I think that this is really only the beginning. I think that we're going to see more protests like this throughout the country. I think that there's going to be more people that are going to be interested in these groups. And again, I think it's a failure of leadership from the White House, from President Donald J. Trump, because he refuses to unite and he only wants to try to govern with the people that seem to allow him to do and say whatever it is he wants. You represent, Congressman, a district in the Dallas-Fort Worth area of Texas. Yesterday, you and other Texas Democrats, you won a very important legal victory after a federal panel ruled that the Republican-controlled legislature drew congressional maps with discriminatory intent violating the Voting Rights Act. What's the significance of this ruling? Oh, it's big. Of course, we said from the very beginning, and I was a part of the lawsuit, that Republicans discriminated against African Americans and minorities in the way that they drew these districts. They packed in certain areas. They split communities of interest in other areas. And it looks like there's finally going to be some reconciliation and some justice in that area. Of course, this is the way that the Republicans have tried to keep control of the House, is by discriminating against these communities of interest. And it looks like, particularly in the southern part of the state, that we're finally going to get some relief on this. I actually started on this lawsuit, Wolf, back when I was still in the Texas legislature in 2011, when the lines were being drawn. And it's been a very long and hard-fought battle, but I'm glad that we're finally here, and I'm glad that, again, these communities are going to see some justice.
Congressman Marc Veasey of Texas, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Wolf.